Hello guys and welcome back to another DR Sports Transfer Window Roundup, and I'm joined by two lovely guys, of course. Nick, West Ham man, how are you, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm alright, man, I'm alright. I get abuse in the comments every week now, so
get used to it, lad. Get used to it.
Get used to it. Yeah. Kind of part and parcel of the game we're here, isn't it? And next to me, of course, you can hear him, Doyley, in the building. How are you, man? You good?
Yeah, just to add to your point, lad, do you know how many amounts of times I've changed my moustache because it gets tethered every single stream, lad? I'm like, maybe if I do this, they'll like it. Maybe if I do this, they might like it better.
To be fair, right, I've done a video, Declan Rice video, got a lot of views as well. And the lighting on the thing, I didn't light it too well, and it looked like I've got a proper and like there's a lot of comments saying I can't take you seriously because I ain't got a moustache.
Sometimes the hair always gets tricky. It always gets a little bit different. Well, listen, guys, make sure you're getting involved in the chat as well. Make sure you're getting involved in the conversation. Send your super chats, send your comments. We'll try and read them out as we're going along. Like the video, of course, if you're liking as well,
and share it.
Share it, of course. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't as well. And we got plenty to get through. We got pre-season games. We got so much transfer news as well that's been happening around the Premier League. But let's start off with some pre-season fixtures. And last night we saw Arsenal go against the MLS All-Stars, winning 5-0. Why are you laughing?
Why are you laughing, bro? Yeah, because that's the very best they can put up, lad. The very best of all them teams. And Arsenal just mopped the floor with them, lad. Harvey had scored a volley, and he couldn't score a volley the whole... Did you see the thing that he did with the minute?
Yeah.
He had all them volleys. He couldn't score a single one, and then he scored one against them, lad.
That was an interesting kind of the skills game beforehand as well. I thought something maybe we could introduce over here.
I do like
I don't know. It was definitely interesting for some of the Arsenal players, but 5-0 comfortable. I mean, it's kind of what you want going into your kind of first pre-season game. I know Timber made his debut in that as well. Yep. Jesus, Trossard, Jorginho, Martinelli, and Havertz, as you said, all getting theirs as well. But Arteta will be happy with that first game, won't he?
Yeah, of course he will. Why not? And you know, Rice wasn't playing, so there's only more strength to come in. Partey's still not back yet, is he?
Partey will be joining the squad soon.
He's not back
I
yet,
think Arsenal are now kind of in the talks of saying they don't want to sell him. But
they need to not sell him.
Tina, regular in the chat as well, sends a super chat early on, says, if Arsenal don't win the title this season, how undaft is Arteta? How
undaft? What does undaft mean? You're gonna have to send
elaborate
that one.
And since top 5 now is Champions League, who are the panel's top 5 favourites? I mean, it's still early in the window.
Very, very early.
Yeah,
very.
I think it's probably still too early, but also sends another super chat in, says, which top 6 manager is the first to get sacked?
The top 6?
Ooh, well, that's an interesting one. I like that one.
I don't want to commit myself because I know like these guys like to clip these things up and play them during the season. So let's wait for the windows. Let's wait to see everyone's business.
Season's got to start. Give us 5 games at the start of the season.
Pochettino.
Yeah. I was going to say Angela. That's who I was going to say. Your man.
I think he'll be given a lot of time, to be fair.
He needs it.
I don't think he'll be kind of in the running, at least at first. I don't know. It's an interesting one for sure. With Chelsea's situation, it just depends on how volatile that gets or how kind of quickly.
But they was very patient with Potter.
They were.
They was very patient with Potter.
Let them lose all
kinds of games. It's a tough one, I think closer to time we'll probably get a rougher idea. It's still too early to call. I think some of the squads are still up. Yeah. We'll go through some of the transfers as well. Chelsea as well were other 5-0 winners against Wrexham yesterday. Maatsen, Gallagher and Kunku Chilwell on the score sheet. Chelsea playing a younger team as well. Some of their obviously bigger stars missing, but don't know if you guys caught any of that. But you guys got any hopes for kind of Chelsea going into the season?
I think they're going to be much better than last season. Like, let's be real. The team that we watched last season was one of the worst versions of Chelsea we've seen in the last 20 years or something crazy, lad.
Yeah.
So, without a shadow of doubt, Mauricio Pochettino knows how to get the most out of players. He did it with Tottenham when he had no dough. And with the array of talent he's got, there's no way in my mind that he's not going to get something out of them.
They have more balance.
Yeah.
That's what they was last year, very unbalanced. A lot of players coming in with little to no experience, not a lot of time to bed in. It was already a sort of hotbed of negativity already there when they got there. So, yeah, I think under a new manager, new settings and all that, I think they'll do all right, Chelsea.
I think especially with a kind of early season, as you can see now, he's got... The squad was, if anything, too bloated. So you've kind of got the full squad there. It's kind of just a case of narrowing it down. I think one thing they've done very well is really start off strong in how they get rid of players that were either on big wages or over the hill. And I think this season could be an interesting one because Pochettino, I think, is walking into a similar situation as he did at Spurs.
I wonder if he's got any plans for Lukaku.
I know, this is what I was thinking.
I think the window will decide that.
Me too.
I think if the window options start to narrow down for Lukaku, he'll kind of be forced to involve him. And I don't think Poch is against involving him.
Neither do I.
New manager, I think he's going to give him a clean slate, but then it's up to Lukaku to kind of earn that. Because that's the thing. Now pre-season is starting. If a lot of these youngsters and a lot of these guys do take their chances, I do think Poch is going to give them chances because that's what he did when he came in early at Spurs. I think this Chelsea team, one thing they do have is youth. A lot of their talent is under the age of 24.
You forget about him.
coming in as a strong voice, I feel like, and he'll come in and give them a bit of discipline.
We've seen him do it before. We've seen him do it.
But you forget about Lukaku. Lukaku, listen, for all of his faults, and we'll always focus on the negative seasons he had with United and the one where he came back to Chelsea, but he's had some world-class seasons.
Yeah, he has.
So if he can, like Pochettino's good at getting tunes out of strikers, if he can get a tune out of him, mate, they've already got a 25-goal-a-season man there.
It's true. They've been through a very turbulent time, haven't they, in the last year? But this year, in my opinion, they have no more excuses now. This is the time to buckle down, start the project and get it rolling, because it's all settled now. You've got your new owner, you've got your players in, you've got your manager. Get it going, lads. They've got no more excuses, and I do think they'll pick up with it. I do.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how Chelsea get on. And
Liverpool also had one yesterday, by the way.
Liverpool, I was going to say, played Karlsruhe as well. Was it Nunez, Gakpo and Jota getting on the score sheet?
Yeah, and we just about won, lad, I tell you that. So we were actually winning 1-0 first 3 minutes with a goal. I don't know. I'm trying my best with this fella. I'm trying my absolute best, right? I don't want to ever disrespect our players because they're my players, lad, and I love them regardless, But below the L, mate, like, honestly, did you see the first goal for Liverpool? Did anyone see it?
No.
Nunez threw on goal, one-on-one with the keeper, and decides he's going to pass it to Mo Salah behind him instead. And then Salah somehow saved it, put it back to him, lad, and Nunez slotted it. And I know I shouldn't be disrespecting because he still scored the goal, lad, but it was just a mad decision. So that was a bit mad. Then they went 2-1 up, which is great, but they did score a wonder goal. I don't know if you've seen one of their goals, lad. Oh my, if any of you haven't seen that, go and watch the highlights of it. Their first goal that they scored was unbelievable, lad. Fucking rocket from the edge of the box, crossbar and in, lad, lovely. But then Jota came on the 90th minute, mate, slotted 2 of them, 1-4-2. That's the type of player he is. Like, he's going to be an integral part to our team next season. He really is.
There's obviously some talks about Luis Diaz potentially going to Saudi Arabia. Now you've obviously...
What is this, lad?
There's been a few of your players, actually, to be fair, because Fabinho as well. You've got Henderson linked with Ettifaq, where Gerrard's just moved. Kind of what's going on there? Because Jota, as you're saying, he could come in really handy this season, and I would say that's probably a position where you guys are probably well stocked. Gakpo, with Diaz as well. Is he someone you can afford to lose?
Absolutely not, lads. We can't afford to lose Henderson or Fabinho either, but we're going to. We can't afford to lose any of these players that have been integral to our squad. Luis Diaz, for example, last season didn't have the best of seasons because he was injured for ages, but he's definitely going to be a very major part. We wouldn't have given him number 7 if we didn't want him to stay, lad. That's a big number for Liverpool, Kenny Dalglish and all that, lad. It's a big number. So stay away from him, please. Can you stop trying to buy all of our players? I don't know what's happening. Is there like an agenda to take all Liverpool's players so that we have nothing to fight with next season? I don't get it, lad.
It almost feels like Liverpool haven't even got the best out of Diaz yet.
Not yet.
No,
not yet.
He got the big injury, but do you feel like he's someone they can afford to lose?
No, definitely not. Listen, Liverpool are top side, and for the past 3-4 years before last season, they was challenging for titles, and he's going to want to be challenging for titles again. They can't afford to lose anyone. You need to be stacked in every position. You know, you say, "Oh, yeah, but you're well stacked there." That's the depth you need to compete with City. You need depth. You need quality. You know what I mean? And that's why I fear a little bit for Arsenal, because they're not quite got the depth, but they're getting there. They are getting there. But no, Liverpool are going to want to be mounting a challenge, and they can mount a challenge.
And they can only do that with kind of keeping their best players,
of course,
say.
And getting a number 6.
What you're seeing now is definitely the Saudi League testing the resolve of these Premier League players, and even some of, I would say, those playing in their peak, the guys like Ruben Neves, who you're not expecting probably to go to the Saudi League at this age, but he's gone and done an Oscar basically, so I wouldn't kind of rule it out. And this is actually the first player I want to get onto, because Alexander Mitrovic has told his relatives that he will never play for Fulham again after the club has now valued him at 52 million, where he basically feels like the club is pricing him out of the market. But he's looking like he wants to move. He sees it as a life-changing opportunity. And this is where I'm saying, guys who are probably in their peak of their powers, he's never had this type of season he's had.
If they get the right amount of money in for him, I wouldn't stop him. Because if that is their main objective, then just let him go.
Agreed, lad. That's why Liverpool are letting Fabinho go. This is the whole reason. If you're not on board with it and you're not 100% committed, then there's no point, because you're not going to work how it needs you to work in the team, lad. If you're motivated by money, then you obviously want to go to Saudi, lad. That's just the way it is. But it's sad, lad. It's what you said, the test and the resolve. How can he look at somebody like Diaz, who's just come to Liverpool within 2 seasons, and go, do you know what? We'll give you loads of money, lad. Do you want to come? He's not, what? I just can't. It blows me, man, lad.
Would it blow your mind even more if he came out and said, do you know what, I want the move?
Yeah, because then why did you come to Liverpool? Like, what was the point? Like, are you coming to win trophies? Like, we don't offer the best wages in the world. We offer a chance of success, lad, and that's why you come to us, so you can potentially win a Premier League, potentially win a Champions League. That's why you come to these Premier League clubs.
I know, but then at the same time, I think sometimes we forget some of these players, like a Diaz, comes from poverty.
Yeah.
Comes from nothing.
I get it,
even
lad.
when he gets to move to Europe, that's a dream achieved for him. When he gets to Liverpool and he gets to a Champions League final, that's another dream. I've played in the Premier League, dream achieved. Played for my country, dream achieved. He's pretty much done everything you could do in football, he feels like.
They ain't living poverty-stricken lifestyles now.
That's what I would say too.
And that's where guys like Mitrovic, you would say, because has he almost hit a ceiling, you feel like, at Fulham? You've got your redemption season back. Are Fulham really going to get any higher than they did last season? And then it's a life-changing financial move. Could you understand kind of where he's coming from?
Yeah, but also, bro, you're in the best league in the world. You're playing fantastically well. There's so many clubs' eyes on you. You're a star man for your team. You're going to start every single game. What's the problem, bro? You're already extremely rich. You can look after your family for generations. I don't get it. I really just don't understand what the motive is, other than money. And if it is that, then yeah, Fulham, you need to let him go, because he's not going to be there for you. The fact that he's come out with that statement right now, that's a very heavy statement. I will never play for Fulham ever again. Are you mad? You are contracted to this club, bro.
Yeah.
This is your job. What are you talking about? And he's got fans that support you and love you. That's madness to me, man.
I'd love to see a club, because we had the same.
I was going to say, you had it with Payet. How does a fan base feel when a player does?
They've got to go. They've got to go. You know what I mean? But there is parts of me that sits. When these players are Payet was contracted to us for another 5 years.
Yeah,
that was right.
You know what I mean? And I just want. It's never going to happen, because obviously money is involved in all sorts of it. If not, I would love to see a club just turn around and go, okay, you're not going to play for us again. Pop off to wherever you want. I'll deduct your wages every week, and you can sit there for 5 years earning nothing.
Yeah,
I'd love to see a club do that, because it would stop it. It would stop it. You know, too much player power. You know, these are big contracts on a lot of money. And, you know, when it gets to the point where the club and the player agree that the move is the best situation, they're not going to sign a new contract. But if you've got people like Kim who's contracted, there's an inquiry, he wants to go. You know, Fulham says, well, no, we can't really afford to lose you, because, you know, we've got a month to kick off.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I'm not playing for you again then. And then I'll just say to him, all right, go off. 5 years. You don't train. You don't come in and play under 18s games. You just go off. Go and get fat.
Yeah.
We're not paying you a single penny.
See you in a bit.
See you in a bit. Yeah. And sit.
Imagine I'll put it this way. Imagine if you were in a League 2 team or a League 1 team, and you go to your gaffer, I don't want to play for you no more, lad. He goes, son, get out, lad.
Yeah.
Straight away. There's a different type of mentality when you get to the Premier League, and they're all these big stars. They do seem to change the mentality. You've already got the dough, lad. This is why I'm dead disappointed with Henderson.
And that's actually who I was going to come to next. But let me just read out this super chat quickly from Ronaldo Nazario. Appreciate you joining the chat today. He says, Saudi money means your grandchildren's grandchildren will be looked after. And every single cousin you have. Premier League money is a lot, but it's not that.
Do you know the most successful people in the world and the biggest sports stars in the world? You ever heard someone like Shaquille O'Neal, who
invests?
He invests all his money. He don't give his kids nothing. They have to work for it. They have to work for it.
You don't want to spoil them.
Yeah.
Don't want to spoil them.
I mean, let's not. Premier League money is still the 1% in the world that get paid more than everybody else on this planet, and they're complaining that they're not getting enough money. What is everyone?
Here's the thing, though. Is it not a little bit of hypocrisy, because that's almost what the Premier League has been doing to the rest of Europe?
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. It is.
When the Premier League goes to Brazil, like Chelsea can go, oh, Andre Santos, Gabriel, you two are the next gems up, but we're going to cherry pick them for 12 million because we're big European clubs. And now Saudis have essentially turned around and done the same, and it feels like
there's only a couple of clubs that you'd say Premier League clubs have never done that. Probably Barcelona, Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. But the rest of Europe, they've done that to many clubs. Many Premier League clubs have done that to many European clubs, where they put an offer in for a player, unsettle him, he refuses to play for them because he's blinded by the money.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing for years. So, do you know what? Part of me is, I think
the game is changing, isn't it? That's what's happening.
The game's changing.
It's been Eurocentric, and so is a lot of society for the last 100 years, 200, 300 years, whatever. Anyway, so I think what everyone is just feeling uncomfortable with this shift of our Premier League players going over to another league, and what we're basically doing is saying, right, the Champions League and the Premier League are the best cups that you can win, so why wouldn't you want to be there? Which isn't actually fair to say, because again, that comes from a very Eurocentric mindset. Yeah. It does. Why is it? Because you might feel the same elation that you might feel winning in the Saudi League, lad. So
I was going to say,
it's not up to me to say that, lad. But if it is me and where I grew up and how I live my life, then yeah, I want to play for Liverpool and I want to win the Champions League and I want to win the Premier League. That's my personal opinion. So when players come to my club, that's what I'm thinking you want. I don't think that you're just coming here for dough. I'm thinking here you want to play for Liverpool Football Club and win stuff with them, because it's a historic thing to do. Mm-hmm. But
speaking on your club, again, though, Jordan Henderson, what's kind of your feeling on that whole kind of saga?
Did you see
it seemed like at first it wasn't happening, then all of a sudden there seemed to be a switch of tune, if you like, but he's going in now to be Gerrard's first signing at El Ettifaq. What's your kind of thoughts on that as a Liverpool fan?
Sad, lad. Very sad about it.
Captain, leader, legend.
As a player point of view, right, we need that lad. He's a leader. He's one of the best leaders we've had since. He is the best leader we've had since Gerrard. He is, and for him to leave in this moment when we're doing a rebuild is absolutely devastating, considering that we've just lost Milner as well. They're two massive influences, I said it last week. But on a personal note, I really respect the lad and I respect what he stands for and all the things he's being outspoken about. And now on the other side, he's going to go to a country that doesn't really support certain things that he's outspoken about, and I just don't know how to sort of deal with that. He'll still be a Liverpool legend and he will forever. There's no shadow of a doubt about that, and I still admire him and all that type of stuff, but this does speak to, it shows a different side of his character, which I never thought I'd see from Jordan Henderson. And I get it, I'm not getting offered 700k a week, lad, and if I did, I'd probably go and take it. But also, like I said last time, I'm skint, bro. I'm skint. You've got loads of dough already, loads of it. You can look after your kids, lad, with that dough that you've already got. But now you just be able to look after your kids, which is sound like, I guess, innit? But you've been alright anyway.
Do the same job to get paid 10 times more. Yeah. I think a lot of people would probably take up the offer. But Fabinho's another one as well, and those two have kind of been key pieces, if you like, over the past kind of 4 years. Maybe the levels have kind of dipped over the last 12 to 18 months, you could say, but still, as you said, invaluable members to the dressing room, and I don't think you've got a natural replacement ready.
We don't. This wasn't in the plan, and what it's basically like, it's like a food cycle now, lad. The Premier League are no longer the top predator, lad. The Saudi League is, and they're coming to prey on all your players and they're going to take them. You'll have a plan in your head where, we'll keep this player, we'll do this, and then they'll go, hey, do you want like £700 million a year, lad? We'll sort that out. And it's like, hey, boss, I'm gonna have to chip, lad. And you're like, what, bro? What's going on here? That's literally what's happened to us. We've got two of our key integral midfielders over the last 5-6 years going because of dough. Yeah. Not because they don't want to play for Liverpool, because they're getting offered massive amounts of money, which you can't refuse.
And then you've got Marco Verratti getting linked, potentially coming in as well. I mean, he's someone who I think, personally, world class. I think ability coming to us, well, potentially being linked with a move to as a replacement.
There's loads, lad. There's loads.
Do you think that is the kind of player you would want to see?
Verratti's brilliant, lad. Let's not get this. Let's not. He is a fantastic player, and at PSG showed like what quality he had without a shadow of a doubt. How old is he now, though? He's about 30, right? Yeah. So really, we do need experience there.
Reminds me a little bit of the Thiago, in a way, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. Technically both very sound, have that little bit of bite to them as well, both very small sized, but then have that tendency to get injured quite a lot throughout the season. And now hitting 30, I don't know if you guys want to repeat what you've just been through with Thiago, because Thiago, it almost feels like it's been a little bit underwhelming, if I'm honest. But
yeah, it has. So while he's on the pitch, lad, beautiful to watch. Honestly, one of the best footballers I've ever seen play football, but he's hardly on the pitch. So do we need another version of that? Probably not. I'm looking at somebody like Amrabat, who I think is Mr. Consistent. He's an engine. He plays all his games. He very rarely gets injured. He's just exactly what Liverpool need, considering the midfielders they're going to have around him as well. Yeah, and he's cheap. It's 25 mil, lad. So if we're going to have McAllister and Sobo and Trent around him, all you need to do, lad, is let them lads play the football, and you just pick everything up that comes by your area, lad. Sweep out, mop up, all of that stuff. Yeah. That's all we need now is a solid number 6 with Fabinho going.
Anybody in mind you're kind of
Amrabat, Calvin Phillips we talked about last week. What I would love is a fit, healthy Calvin Phillips, lad. That would be the exact lad that I'm looking to rebuild a project
guy who
with.
couldn't get minutes at the Premier League champions is who you want to get to go and compete with the Premier League champions.
It's not because he couldn't get minutes, lad. It's because he could not get on the pitch because he was injured 24/7, lad. And also, let's be real, would he start over Rodri?
I was going to say, would he have competed with Rodri, honestly?
Rodri's a better player, without a shadow of a doubt, lad. But if he hasn't been given the time and the opportunity to play in a top-flight team, how can we say that? There's not enough bigger sample. It's not a big enough sample size for him to do that with.
You wouldn't always look at that either, because they did let Milner go, and he was a big part of the Liverpool sort of revamp. So like
I do.
And it could be the same with Arsenal, letting Jesus and Zinchenko.
Do you have a history of that? They do.
It's just because they haven't played for City doesn't necessarily they can't play
indicate that he's a bad player.
Yes, yeah.
Because they have, like what we were talking about with depth as well. City players only play around 70% of a season, lad, because they have so much depth that they're able to swap them out, and that includes Kevin De Bruyne, the best midfielder in the world at the moment. Even him only plays a certain amount of games for the club, lad, because they just got stacked, lad.
Yeah,
talent.
I just think the last thing you want to do with replacing two super consistent guys in Fabinho
is an inconsistent one.
Is guys who are inconsistent and unavailable, and that's what I'm looking at with Verratti and Phillips. I'm kind of like, profile-wise, they're brilliant. Yeah. They could come in and fill the boots perfectly, but then can you rely on them for 30 games of the season, or are they going to go missing and injured?
Which is why I said Amrabat at the start, because that's the one I'm like, okay, he's not this fancy glorified player, but he is that engine and he is solid, and we've got them fancy ones in front of him already. We've got Trent, he can play a pass anywhere he wants, lad. We've got Sobo, he can dribble, pass, whatever he wants, and McAllister's right in between them two, up and down.
Looking forward to seeing Sobo this
season. A good player, you know, lad.
I've been a big fan. I'm like, I've got him as one of the potential signings.
He's one of the most dynamic players I think I've seen in the Premier in a long while. He sort of reminds me of Gakpo in a little way, where you can play him on the right, you can play him in centre mid, you can play him in the middle, you can play him on the left wing, lad, wherever you want.
He will give Salah a lot more freedom because he can drift in those wide spaces, and
he's fast.
Trent can kind of underlap there as well. It's tactically he's going to give you something extra.
He will, but we need that number 6 while all of these are doing the bits to sweep up, lad. It's so
that
important.
Is very true.
That's
very
why
true.
Fabinho going is genuinely gutting, lad. It really is. Hendo definitely as well, but Fabinho, lad, you are an integral part. You're going to start every game, lad. What are you doing? Mad.
I agree. Just quickly, Nick, there was a super chat sent in by Ahmed Reshmin, I believe. He said Celso Borges at City is being linked with West Ham for 14 million. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really know a lot about him.
I'm not
be honest. Young kid.
Yeah, he's a young striker, isn't he?
Yeah, young winger striker, kind of. Yeah. Very
if he's a winger, as I said, I don't know much about him. I can't really comment. It's something that's been mentioned quite a few times, so there's obviously something going on there. There's some sort of interest. 14 million, I think it's worth a gamble. You know what I mean?
I think one thing City have shown is players who've come out of their academy, and you're looking at Sancho, Pedro Porro, Lavia.
They're all good.
They're all even Bazunu, Southampton got. I know they went down last year, but there seems to be a decent level of talent that always comes out. And for 40 million, I think it's definitely a low risk kind of gamble worth taking a punt on.
I agree, lad.
Let's just move on to Man United. However, they have Andre Onana has completed his medical, signed his Manchester United contract, and will join his teammates in New York later today.
Fantastic.
What do you guys make of that signing, and how important could that be?
Really good signing. Obviously they need a goalkeeper. So. I like him. He's an Edison Allison.
Yeah, we said it.
Like a
hybrid.
Let's see. Premier League's hard.
You know what I mean?
And it takes a couple of seasons before you sort of get used to it.
Yeah, when you've got that kind of playing style as a goalkeeper. I think the Premier League is definitely one of those kind of dangerous territories where it can go really well for you. And I think Alisson, I remember early on when he came, he got tested a few times. But the one thing I respected was he had the mental durability to stick with it. I remember Edison came in and it actually went swimmingly. He didn't start making mistakes till about 18 months in. But I think
I remember De Gea coming in and Andy Carroll made him a man, mate, because he went through him like a steam train.
It took him 2 years to kind of adapt, and you've seen that with Meslier. Came in kind of the first season, exciting. Last season was drowning. And Premier League goalkeepers, Kepa, another prime example.
Mendy.
Yeah.
Great examples here. So, and this is what I'm saying. But I think Onana, what he's going to bring so different to De Gea is massive. And I think it changes how United build up from the back.
It's a huge test, man. It's a huge test. I remember we had a goalkeeper called Roberto come in. And
the Spanish one.
Spanish guy, yeah. And he was... You know, he was
meant to be ball playing and
good stock and all that. He went off crying at Burnley.
I remember. It can happen. But I think Onana, the one thing you can't shake him, I was going to say, is his confidence.
Bro, that's why.
Seems in the Champions League final, I saw this guy doing Cruyff turns and zip passes between lines. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
But he's still willing to do it.
I haven't said that, right? Flex was saying this last week. The old guard of Man United are going to have to take getting used to him, like, because he is going to mess a lot of stuff up at first, without shadow of doubt. You cannot have that playing style and not mess it up. It's like when you get a centre attack and mid, and they're playing all these forward passes, and really only 40% of them come off, but them 40%, lad, you got 2 goals out of it. So they're important, but that 60%, lad, you're going to have to be like, okay, I need patience with this lad, because he's going to lose the ball loads. But what I've said, what you just said and what I said, confidence-wise, you cannot fault it. And I think with a character like that, if he does make mistakes, he's just going to keep trucking on, lad, and keep going.
They're a harsh fan base as well. When it comes to goalkeepers, because I remember when Schmeichel left, and Schmeichel was solid. It took him a good few years
Van der Gaal.
Bosnich. It was only when Van der Sar came in, it settled again. And then again when, but you remember Taby? One
Massimo.
He's letting balls through and they just don't have it. You know what I mean? So like,
I think the one thing you said there though is the United fan base. It is an expectant fan base. You've seen how it's affected Jadon Sancho, but the one person who I say, if we're talking about strong mentalities, I'm looking at Bruno. Yeah, you're talking about
that's exactly who I had in mind. That's exactly who I had in mind.
40% it comes off, and last year, to be fair, if there's one thing I saw from Bruno, it was a refined game. Yeah. He was less wasteful. He understood the system. He was much more of a leader. Was all of a sudden playing a much deeper 8 role. And I said, this is someone who has the mentality that saw the fan base, saw the expectations, and rose his levels. I think Onana is of the same caliber. And the difference is he's got Ten Hag, who he's previously worked with as well. Now, mind you, they've previously fell out as well, so it'll be interesting to see
we'll see.
What the dynamic is. Ten Hag knows who he's buying right now, lad, and he's going to come in and go, right, I've bought you, and I know exactly what you're all about, lad, but listen to what I say, okay, because this is the Premier League and it's very different to where you've been playing. But I still want you to stay the same, but just a little bit of 80% the same, lad, you know what I'm saying? That's what he's going to do. He knows Ten Hag, in my opinion, is a fantastic manager. He really is. He knows exactly what to do with his teams, and he knows exactly the players that he needs for it. There's no way in my mind that I think Onana is going to come and be a bad goalkeeper. I really don't think this at all.
I think United, as you say, will just need a lot of patience. I think there will be mistakes, and I've said personally, a goalkeeper playing like that would give me nightmares, because I'm like, it put me on edge. I'd like someone maybe a little more on his line, but if you're going to play that way, run with it, go all in type of thing. So don't 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
The Dutch lad, Ten Hag is Dutch, bro. You're Dutch, yeah.
And guess what?
Technicians, lad. That's what they admire.
He's at Ajax, but guess what? He came out of Barcelona's academy, La Masia. It's even madder.
Because them two are best mates, lad. They're like, they can join at the hip, them two, lad. It's the best academies in the world.
Crazy where he's come from. But that's not the only business they're looking to do. Similarly, they're looking at Sofian Amrabat as well, and Rasmus Hojlund from Syria. But United apparently need to offload players first.
Hojlund looks like it might happen though. That does look like it might happen. I was
thinking, I don't know if you guys have seen any of Hojlund. What do you guys kind of make of him?
He's got a similar name to Haaland. Haaland's done really well this year. He's Norwegian, and everyone's just like, hey, should we just get the next Haaland in, lads? That's what this is, and he sounds like Haaland. That's defo what's happening, lad. He scored 9 goals this season, lad. It's not even that much, do you know what I mean? In an Italian league, and he's a young lad. He's probably fitter and faster than everybody around him in the defensive area. So for me, he's cool. 9 goals, sound. That's all right, that. But how much did they want for him? 60, 50 million?
Yeah.
That's a lot of dough, that, lad, you know what I'm saying? So,
it is a lot, and I think that's the low end, 50, 60 million.
I'm only joking, by the way, I'm joking.
It could be 70, 80 million, but I mean, he looks an exciting talent, and from the kind of highlight clips I've seen, he does look a decent prospect. He's got all the tools, despite the 9 goals. I know. But the thing is, I have thought that as well sometimes, where I've thought, is it because his name sounds eerily similar to Haaland? There's maybe 10 or 20 million being added on, but he could come in and be that number 9 that United are looking for, and that is a position that they've been looking to fill, let's be honest, for quite some years. They've tried Martial, they've tried Lukaku, they've tried Zlatan, they tried Rashford last year. It worked pretty well, but he wants to kind of stay on that left. I think he could come in, and the question is expectations of United. And I think with him, it's a little bit more of one to watch, I think, whereas Onana's kind of played for big clubs, played in bigger atmospheres.
Big occasions.
This kid, it's Atlanta and Norway. It's not the same. This is now a small fish in a big pond. Yeah. How are you going to adapt? So that'll be interesting to kind of.
It's a risk for me, and I just think that if you're going to pay £50 million for the risk, that's a lot of money to risk on somebody. It really is. And then there's players like Evan Ferguson, for example, who plays for Brighton. He was brilliant last season, and he was good in the Premier League, right? But why not stick? I don't know, 30 million for him, lad? Why not do that?
They just signed Johnny Evans.
Oh yeah. On a short-term after Everton he went to Everton, lad, and then Man United went. Actually, he's ours, buddy. Okay, took him off him, lad.
No, but that is interesting though, what you just said there. It is interesting.
Evan Ferguson's a good little player, lad. We can all see the potential.
He's one. Personally, I wasn't trying to mention it too much because I'd love Spurs to at some point when Kane goes, that's the guy who we go for. But I think he is someone who is going to be huge. And if I'm United, if you're going to spend 70, 80 million on Hojlund, I'd maybe even go and spend 90 on an Evan Ferguson. Just
90 on him though? Wow, that's a lot of those.
Evan Ferguson, I think, is the truth.
The truth.
Honestly, the truth.
I like him, I do like him, but I don't think 90 million yet. The market is just crazy.
The market is getting so crazy now.
He's 20, 30 million at the very, very most, lad. He's about 12, isn't he? Isn't he 19 or something?
Yeah.
10 years ago, it's 2 million with a buyback.
Yeah.
Someone's corrected me as well. Hojlund is Danish, not Norwegian.
Danish. So sorry about that. So sorry. But still, similar names to Haaland, innit?
Yeah. Scandinavian.
Yeah, he's a Scandinavian.
But Kobe Minor's another mention. That's an interesting addition coming up from the academy as well. People say similar profile to kind of Paul Pogba, they say. But United doing the classical thing of integrating youth still. And
I like that about United. I like that.
Bringing that back, if you like.
Yeah.
Good.
It's almost felt like over the last couple of years they've still been bringing some through, but whether many have stayed, I think Scott McTominay was kind of the last one that really kind of broke through, I can remember. But Kobe Minor's one this season on tour has been getting a lot of kind of love and shine.
This is why it's important to look after your academy and the players like Mahrez, Rashford, and it's because they remind the team of who they are and they have that hunger. If that lad goes into Man United's first team and Saturday come and say, I'll give you loads of money, he goes, no, this is my dream to play for Man United. I want to be here. I want to commit to this squad. This is what I want. And so that's why in the future going forward, a lot of clubs need to look at their academies now, because that's how football was built and that's how it needs to go, what it needs to go back to, because it's going all towards money and that's not where it belongs, lad. Look at your academies, Steven Gerrard's, Trent's, John Terry's, Frank Lampard's. I know it didn't come from Chelsea's, but he came from West Ham's, but still, they come from academies, lad. Look at these players.
That's kind of the fabric of what you need at every club, I feel like.
It's massive.
I think United have always had that heritage of having one academy member in their squad since. I think there's some record.
I respect you for it. I don't like United, but I absolutely respect you for that. Without a shadow of a doubt, your academy is where your heart is, lad. Get them players in your team.
It'll be interesting, yeah, definitely. I'm curious to see how we can kind of mesh in. And one thing with Ten Hag is he always does give youngsters the opportunity. You've seen it at Ajax, and he'll definitely do that again at United. Man City's another one. Last night, of course, Fabrizio Romano that confirmed that Josko Guardiola's pretty much got the here we go. What do you kind of make of that? How big of a signing could that be for them?
Again, I don't know much, but if Pep's...
He's brilliant, lad. They casually just sign the best players in the world all the time, lad, and it's annoying. They got Haaland for 60 million. How much is he? 90? 80? And having said that, that's still an expensive price, but this kid is definitely for the future, lad. He's solid. I've only ever seen him get skinned once, and it was by Messi. And if you're going to get skinned by anybody, it's probably going to be the GOAT, innit, lad? So I am not looking forward to him slotting into a team that's already got Ahli, Ruben Diaz, and John Stones. Are you mad?
And that's
going to be formidable, lad.
You look at them and you're like, going forward, I don't think they're really missing anything.
This is what's terrifying me about
Creatively, you can't tell me that isn't a team that creates at will.
This is the point.
Defensively, I felt like in the first half of the season they were a little bit shaky. Ruben Diaz came in, locked it up. Akanji and Ake hit final form, and they just Stones came back in as well. Second half of the season they just became a shut-up shop. And then you go and add, for me, what I think is going to be one of the best centre-backs over the next decade, if you like.
Got a lot.
And that could be an upgrade on Laporte. That could be an upgrade on Ake. He could slot into
Pep, right?
positions.
This is what I'm thinking, yeah. Is he thinking of another plan and another structure to play his team? Because that's what he does every single season. He comes back and we're like, oh, he's going to do this. And he does something completely different. It changes the football. Everyone wants to copy him. And is that what he's doing right now by getting these 3 solid centre-backs? Is he going to change his formation? Is he going to change his system? Because, can't tell. He's a genius, lad, so he might. And he's got the players to do it, lad. He can do what he wants, lad.
100%.
But he's like, they remind me of, you know, you get these people frantically, when you go into a shop like Black Friday, yeah, everyone's frantically fighting over it, and you just get the one guy strolling around the back, and he'll reach over everyone and pick something out and go, yeah, I'll have that, I'll have it. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They've got so much ability and confidence in the market that he can afford to, you know, I book Rice as one of the best in the world, you know, or will be one of the best in the world. And he just went, 90 million? We went, no, he went, let him have him then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One thing about City is they are, in my opinion, I feel like they don't get ripped off for many deals.
They don't.
This is one of
Any
those
deal, any.
Even,
I can't think of any.
Even Jack Grealish last year, they only paid that because it was the release clause, and that's what they had to pay. But very often, you've seen them, the Haaland deal, Rodri, like so many top players they're able to get. And I'm just like, this one, people might say, yeah, 90 million, it might be a heavy and big fee. But when you look at the prospect, when you look at the attributes this guy has, the work he's put down, the age, I'm like, there's so many upsides, and what he could, as you said, bring to this team where they can go to a Stones, Diaz, Gvardiol, and then say, you know what, we're going to play with 6 midfielders this year. Let's see how you deal with that. We're going to play some extra support up Haaland on the wings.
But this is what I'm saying. Whilst he's there, I think they are becoming what I've always thought as Real Madrid is, when they come calling, nobody's going to stop them from going, because they are the ones. They are the ones at the moment. They are making. You talk about history. They are making history.
They are.
They are
really
making it.
And you know,
it could go on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
It's not just about the money now, because they don't always spend. Well, they don't spend the most amount of money.
It's Pep.
It's Pep Guardiola, and it's the philosophies, and again the change of style, the being on the front foot of evolution. You know what I mean? The trend setter. That's what he is, and he's just, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. If it don't work, he shrugs his shoulders and he goes again. And that's what, you know. And you're looking at the likes of Man United, who are now buying a goalkeeper that is similar to what Pep first bought, that started this whole evolution. That was 5 years ago now. You know what I mean? And Man United are just getting that.
Yeah.
They're so far ahead of the curve, it's scary.
They've only had one season where it didn't work. One single one. Like in my mind, what I'm thinking now is Pep's going, right, so everybody knows that Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland have such a fantastic connection. So next season, they're going to try and mark him out the game. So maybe it's exactly what you just said, where he's like, do you know what? 6 in midfield, we'll get 2 fullbacks that are running up and down and feeding Haaland just as much as Kevin De Bruyne is. That could be a thing, and he can implement it so well and make his players believe in the system that it might be successful. Again, it's what you said was so spot on. He's ahead of the curve. He's the trendsetter, and he's at the front foot of the evolution of the game, lad, and the systems that we play. He is, I hate to admit it, lad, but phenomenal, and I'm just so happy my team's been able to beat him to something, lad. I really am, lad. The fact that we've won a Premier League while he's during his reign, lad. Love you, Liverpool, I really do.
And the way he plays as well with the rotation systems. I know sometimes it can put players off. I think that's what put Rice off a little bit, the fact that he won't be playing every game. But that's why they get so much longevity. That's why they've still got people like Mahrez and De Bruyne and people like that playing at the very top of the game at 32, 33.
Yeah.
When other teams hammer them so much that by 30, I mean, Rooney was gone.
Yeah.
You know
Speaking of Mahrez, actually, he's just been agreement, with Ahli for 30 million plus 5.
30 million?
And you talk about kind of good business for, as you said, a 32-year-old who's seen it all, done it all, won it all. I'm sure would be disappointed to not obviously play in the Champions League final and I think the FA Cup final, but a guy who's pretty much completed English football. He's now gone on there.
He's probably the only one that I think to myself, you know what, if anyone deserves to go, it's him, because he really stuck with Leicester.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was rumblings of this Man City move for 2-3 years before he finally Leicester released him. Yeah. And it wasn't like he stopped playing. It wasn't like a Mitrovic where he turned around and went, I'm never playing for Leicester again. He just got on with it. He you know, politely told them he wanted to go. They said, look, we can't afford to lose you. And he played for 2 more seasons there. And I respect that, man. So if, you know, Pep's going to do what Pep does. He's going to replace everyone. Like he's, you know, when David Silva left, you thought, how's he going to replace David Silva? And he does. When Aguero left, how's he going to replace Aguero? And he does.
Fernandinho,
yeah, and he does.
Replace him. Cannot replace him.
The most successful lie ever told, lad. And then in the back of his mind, he's like, yes, we can, bruv. Yes, we can.
They're coming next week, bruv.
And like that's, you know, that's why they get the longevity. If it's time for him to move, and Pep's like, if you want to go, you can go. He's probably the only one out of that whole list that I think, go on, son.
How will he be remembered, though, Mahrez? Because I feel like he's going to be remembered as like one of the Premier League greats. The way he came in at Leicester, shined, as you said, PFA Player of the Year that year, was absolutely deadly in that team, was one of the key components with Vardy, Kante, as you said, a number of years as well. Then comes into City. Sometimes you felt like maybe he wasn't always a guaranteed starter, but you could definitely say he played his part. But how would he kind of be remembered to you?
Towards the end, I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was one of their better players.
He actually, I felt like, got better as he went on in his City career.
Football purists are always going to admire Riyad Mahrez for the technicality that he had. His first touch was one of the best I've ever seen. His way that he sent a man either way was incredible. His close control, his shooting, everything about that lad was pure. His technique was beautiful, lad. And so for me, he'll be remembered as just a wonderful player to watch, lad, and he'll be sadly missed from the Premier League.
A natural talent.
Yeah, truly marvellous to watch, lad.
One of the best first touches in Premier League.
Gorgeous, absolutely beautiful.
The way he can kill a ball dead,
gorgeous.
Rarely do you see someone with control like that. Let's move on to Chelsea, though. Chelsea are working on an improved bid of 80 million plus the add-ons for Brighton's midfielder Moises Caicedo.
Alvy's got so much dough.
Currently financially... Oh, no, that's something else. But what do you guys make of the Caicedo deal? Is that taking too long now? Are Chelsea, should they have had this wrapped up?
He's got too many suitors. I think that's exactly what it is. And Brighton are basically like, right, our team's getting raided because of the season that we've just had, so we're going to try and get the absolute most money we can for each player, particularly when they've seen McAllister go to Liverpool for 35 million, when they definitely could have got more money if they didn't put that release clause in there. So I think it's just as simple as that. Loads of people are coming in and say, we'll have him, and they're going, okay, wait there, Caicedo, what do you want, lad, what do you want, and Chelsea need to basically just say, yeah, it was 105 million, 100 million, done.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do.
It almost feels like Declan Rice set the market with Caicedo, because before the Rice sale, it seemed like 80 million, 90 million they were willing to kind of negotiate. Now Chelsea have kind of moved up to that. Brighton have gone, no.
People make them comparisons, but I don't think there is a comparison between the two. No, because
I agree.
He's a 4 or 5 year Premier League veteran, 6 years I believe. England international, 50 caps. A consistent performer, and Caicedo's had 1 season. And as good as Caicedo is, I've seen so many comparisons between Declan and, you know, at first it was the kid at Newcastle, Longstaff.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's fell off. You know what I mean? And then you get another one, falls off. There's Ndidi. Ndidi's better than him. Falls off. You know what I mean? So it's a risk. It's a risk. I don't think he should be going anywhere, if in my opinion. And I said this the other day, and definitely not to Chelsea. As I said, like, he's still in the fundamental development years of his career. He had a wonderful season. You know, do it for another 2-3 years. And if you've got other suitors, Chelsea at the moment are not there, and they're not. I don't think they're the club that he should be looking at. I know he's come out with quotes about money and things like that. But try and get an improved deal off Brighton. You know what I mean? Like, try and push Brighton for a little bit more money.
Yeah.
And still learn your trade, because that is the best place for me. That he learns his football. At 21, it's still a big risk. Look, we had Ravel Morrison come in. Ravel Morrison was one of the best natural talents, and I've seen him do things that I've never seen the best players in the world do. But, you know, head blinded, turned too quickly by money, and fell off of a cliff. and went and played for some real rubbish
And when you look
teams.
at Brighton's situation at the moment as well, with the Zerbi there, they've got European football.
They're better than
next
Chelsea.
season. They're actually one of the, I would say, most appealing sides to want to play for at the moment in the Premier League. Probably the top 3 most entertaining teams to play for.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would really want to leave.
He's
in
not
essence,
he's not
I can hear
playing.
the stay there for maybe 2 years, 3 years, really build that foundation.
He's not
as you
playing
said.
for a Sean Dyche's Burnley.
Yeah. No.
He's playing for a good, expansive football club. Someone's got to teach him good football philosophy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not the best player in a rubbish team. I think he's in the best place at the moment for his football development, and it's still early days. And London can chew these kids up and spit it out.
Yeah.
You know, you get a 21-year-old kid, you know, comes from poverty, you know, 150 grand, 200 grand a week, 21. His career could be over by 24.
How hard is it to ignore that though? Especially as you say, coming
It's
from
hard.
poverty,
Yeah.
you're you're earning 30 grand a week at Brighton, but then you've got the likes of Liverpool, you've got the likes of United, you've got the likes of Chelsea. He's put in a transfer request in January. Now it's come to the summer. He hasn't put nothing out yet, but there's talks of he does really want to push the move. How hard is it to ignore that?
Bro, what he's got to do is keep his head down and offer the value and remain professional. If he believes in himself and his ability, and like you said, he's come from poverty, so he's already had that struggle. He knows exactly what mentality to tap into. I agree with Nicky in the sense that he's got to earn his stripes, just the way Declan Rice did. Declan Rice is going to be good for Arsenal because he's battled with pressure already with West Ham going to be relegated, right? That's a bigger pressure than winning the league. Believe me, it is, lad. Nobody wants to be relegated. And so him going there, it makes perfect sense for Arsenal. You've got the mentality, you've got the ability, you've paid your dues, lad. Come here. Yeah. Caicedo, brilliant footballer, and we've seen him all last season. Fantastic. But I do agree with what Nicky said. He's not the best player in a crap team. He's in a very attacking side that plays expansive football with De Zerbi, who is going to teach him great football philosophy. So I'm leaning to what Nicky says. You know, he probably should pay his dues a little bit more, learn what he can, and then if he's that good and he believes in himself, he will get calls from other teams. It'll happen, lad. You're a Premier League player and in a good team, lad. People will want you. Look at Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish played well for Aston Villa, went back down, come back up, paid his dues, lad. Went to Man City, and look at the season, lad, he had last season. Phenomenal.
Speaking of people who paid their dues, Harvey Barnes, who has paid his dues at Leicester over the last couple of years, lads. Someone who broke through, has kind of made that kind of steady progression year on year, added the numbers, added the quality. Surprised, to be fair, he hasn't even been called up. Has he been called up to England?
He was with
England. I think he has actually a few times,
Has he made caps?
Yeah, he's got caps.
Okay. Yeah. Surprised he hasn't had more, to be fair. But
he's a good player, isn't he, lads?
Very stacked in that position, England are. So, but £38 million deal kind of agreed with Newcastle. What do you guys kind of make of that move? Good signing?
Good signing. Good. We was in for him, and I think the lure of Champions League football and what's going on at Newcastle was just too much, and I respect that because he's ambitious boy. I've got a few Leicester friends, and they've told me that last season he wasn't quite mentally there in terms of weren't up for the fight.
I think people said that about Maddison as well.
Yeah, they did say that about
himself with Maddison.
Yeah, wasn't quite up for the fight. Went missing in, when they really needed him to step up. But in terms of quality, I think he's a quality player. And I think, listen, unfortunately, it's at Leicester's demise sort of thing. Yeah, but they've got a good player for good money there.
Yeah, 35 million?
38 million.
38 million.
He's better than Anthony Gordon. He's a much better player than Anthony Gordon, in my opinion. If they're going to buy Anthony Gordon for 50 million and get him for 35, great deal. That.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. I think taking advantage of Leicester, of course, going down as well.
I think 14 goals last season as well.
Yeah, I think coming in.
They were terrible, Leicester, as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit unfair to kind of. I hear Leicester fans, of course, they're going to feel resentment towards some of the players that obviously got them relegated. But I think the situation at that club last year was pretty grim in the second half of the season. The second Rodgers got sacked, you knew it was just going to kind of be a free fall to the bottom, and the players' heads were kind of gone. But as you said, I think great deal for Newcastle, gives them that bit of extra addition, strength and depth, if you like, for the Champions Leagues. And ASM could be walking out the other way, apparently, to one of these Saudi clubs as well. I think that's a great replacement, if not, I would even say an upgrade, because as much as ASM can give you all the flashiness and everything,
it's exciting.
Does he give you that end product?
No.
Does he give you that final
consistency?
Finish? Consistency. Whereas I feel like with Harvey Barnes, you kind of know what you're getting. Minimum 7 out of 10 every week. So personally, I would much rather have him than an ASM.
I think Newcastle fans will see it as a good trade as well.
Yeah.
And they, I think they're going to put their sort of trust in the manager now. Eddie Howe.
Good signings, Newcastle.
Yeah,
very good signings. Under the radar ones.
Intelligent signings.
Yeah.
You know, just what they need. Not trying to do what Bowley did at Chelsea. Come in and, you know, start chucking around money and trying to attract the best. They're getting what they need in certain stages, and I think he'll be a solid Champions League player as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's that time to kind of make that step up. He's done every level where you've been that mid-table player, you've Europa League, now it's that next step up. So we'll kind of see how he kind of adapts to that. And finally here, Bournemouth have signed left-back Milos Kerkez from AZ Alkmaar for 15.5 million on a 5-year contract. Hungarian international.
Alphabet FC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To be fair, listen, I said it, yeah. If those of you who play Football Manager know this guy is a wonder kid on the game. And I said someone in the Bournemouth scouting team is definitely 100%. Playing Football Manager.
So was Freddie.
It was Zabeni last year, and then this year is Kerkez. I'm like, listen, I'm watching Bournemouth very closely this year. Very, very closely, because they're signing some talents, I'll tell you that. And I think moving away from Gary
what are they going to do next year?
Because
it finishes this year, Football Manager, by the way. It's the last one.
What?
Yeah, did you know that?
No, it's not, lads. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why?
Don't do this.
That's a whole... Do you know that Wayne Rooney...
Don't do this. I'll collapse on screen,
I know,
bro.
yeah, what? Did you see that Wayne Rooney paid their scouts, to get some of the names that they were going out and looking for?
Of course,
Football Manager.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho used to do it as well.
Mate, really? David Moyes, Sky Sports used to use it.
They're already doing the labour for you, lad.
FM is legit, man. Stop hating on it.
Yeah. I think they're repackaging it to something else, but
in
terms of Football Manager,
yeah, similar like FIFA, I imagine. But either way, I think Bournemouth are definitely building an interesting team, and it's interesting to see what direction they go in after Gary O'Neill, because the new manager that's coming, Iraola, was meant to be one of the best managers in La Liga last year. So kind of interested to see what kind of direction they go in. I genuinely don't think they're going to be relegation candidates this year.
I love Bournemouth.
I think they'll be comfortable mid-table.
No, I think they could be relegated.
They might have like my little second team. Them, when they first come with Eddie Howe and you were playing like B-Tech Arsenal football, lad, and he was not scared of nobody with the 10,000-seater stadium.
Billing when he's on form, Solanke if he can get the goals going. Dango Utara signing in January was huge for them. I don't know. I just feel like they've got a few gems there. Neto
really like
goal
Billing.
is a safe pair of hands.
I just want to know what happened with Gary O'Neill.
I would love to know that as well.
Maybe there's a reason why we don't, mate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's
we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, listen, that is the end of the transfer round.
Oh, well done, mate. You was going through pre-season friendlies. You forgot about a pre-season friendly that you played the other day. Who did you play?
What? That was a few days ago. We're in a 24-hour cycle here, guys.
I think what happened was, West Ham beat Tottenham 3-2. We're in Australia. That's
See, what's important is it's pre-season. It's about fitness. It's about getting your minutes up. And it's about building your confidence in the performance.
I watched them.
I looked at the XG. I looked at the shots. I watched possession. I was like, you know what? There's something positive being built.
I watched the fellas over. We at Tottenham TV doing a watch along. Yeah, when they was 2-0 down, it's all about the minutes. He's got to get the fitness and all that. As soon as they scored an equal, I was like, get in, come on, loving it. And then what happened? We went up the other end and scored.
I honestly looked at it, and was like, Spurs have started with losing. That's about right, lad. The season has started already.
Listen, fair play. You get your licks in. It's pre-season. Let's hope you can get it when it matters during the season.
Don't say that, because we will, and you know what's going to happen, lad. You support Spurs.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
saying he's winning dead rubber games. Let's hope he can win the ones that matter in the season.
That's it. I agree with you.
No problem. Yeah, you know what I mean? But keep your eyes peeled anyway. DR Sorts, you got you covered on all the pre-season games, all the transfer roundup. Nick,
not all of them, obviously, because you conveniently missed some out.
Most of them. But listen, guys, we appreciate you joining us. Leave your comments, leave your likes, and subscribe to the channel. Of course, we'll be back soon. Take care.